Hello, this Hangout on Air is live. Welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. 5:57 a.m. Central Standard Time, February 21st, 2019. We have from 1984, they have changed the name slightly in the bottle design, but introduced this in 1984. It's 12-year age Canadian Club. Imported Canadian Club. Classic 12, age 12 years, small batch blended Canadian whiskey. Kind of a complicated name. Square bottle. Thank you, John and Neely, for this gift. It says about $24 in the store, at the store, and in the store. Okay, batch C12 300. I guess that's Canadian 12 300. Age 12 years and superior, for superior quality and character. There are other Canadian Club versions, okay? The only ones I see around here, let's think about that though. What do I see around here? No, I do see a lot. I see Canadian Club, I see Canadian Club Rye, I see this one. I think there's an 8-year age I see around here. I still can get maybe the 6-year aged. There's some flavored versions. I don't know, like apple or cinnamon or something like that. That's the big thing now, right? Oh, and from 2004, Caliber Canadian Premium. So 20 years after Canadian Club 12 year, we got this thing in a square plastic bottle. Now this was $5.96 at Walmart, $5.96 all day long. I might try the Caliber Gin at some point in the future, and I might try the Caliber White Rum. I don't know. It's not too important. Just as a curiosity, I'm always curious about these odd items. You've probably noticed that. I got to start setting up some more events for upcoming weeks. I only have this event and one more left, and that's for later today because I have to do a double. I noticed that. Forgot to mute it. So got to do the double up later today. And that's bourbon. That'll be bourbon. So this one I have CC, Caliber Canadian, okay, CC. Now this one I put on the label CC12, Canadian Club 12 year. I don't see this being much of a challenge because how could it be a challenge? One is 12 years, one is 3 years. One is a really respectable, I mean, they're not, I got to put a little bit more Caliber. I've been very careful not to pour Caliber too easily because it'll flow right out with that pour. Get back in there. Oh, about 70% of the bottle left. 65%. So we're talking $6. Let's round off. $6 a bottle versus $24. 6 times 4 is 24. Is the Canadian Club going to be 12? 3? I'll get it right. 4 times better. Here we go with humidity again. You might say, you and those sinus. Look, everybody in Louisiana seem like has sinus problems. It's a problem down here with this humidity, this monstrous humidity. At least your skin doesn't get dry too easily. We don't have too many dry and crisp days. All right, so it's not going to be a challenge. I mean, I'll be able to tell them apart. I did the Canadian Club regular, well, the 6 year versus the Caliber, and that quick, guessed it. Only on aroma. When I didn't even have to taste it. Now, The problem was that it was not twice as good. $12 for Canadian Club, $6 for this. I'm rounding off. It was better, but not twice as good. So therefore, if you're looking to save money just as a drink at home product, the Caliber wins. Now, like I was saying, if you're going to go to a party and all, yeah, you might want to bring Canadian Club or Black Velvet Reserve. It looks nice, you know, whatever. Depends on what kind of party. Oh, I don't know if you can pick this up, but the Canadian Club is much darker. Do they add coloring? I don't know. Do they add flavoring? I don't know. Would it get that dark after 12 years in a used white oak barrel? Maybe. I don't know a lot about aging Canadian whiskey. We know the Caliber is flavored because it says flavored with natural flavors. Sazerac tends to be good about that, like letting you know. They're not required to disclose it. I can't find the link, but there was some kind of thing, some certification rule in Canada that they only were required to disclose flavorings, not what type, because they don't have to give away their recipe, but if it had flavorings, if you wrote a letter to them and said, can I have a certificate, that they're supposed to say, okay, here it is. Here's the certificate stating, yes, we do flavor it, or no, we don't. But it's sort of like one of those regulations that are meaningless because really, who's going to do that? There aren't too many people going to buy Canadian whiskey and sit down and say, I'm writing an email. I want to know. I mean, there might be some. Daylight is approaching here. Good morning, Mr. Ron, says Ronnie S. Good morning, Ronnie. Oh, man. I got to pour a little bit more cal. I'm trying to be stingy on saving it because I'm definitely not going to buy another bottle. Not that it's bad or anything. It really isn't bad. I just not going to go buy another bottle of Caliber Canadian. Okay. I mean, it has overperformed. I will admit that. I thought it was going to be just the worst junk in the world. $5.96 a bottle, $9.96 for the 1.75 liter. I'll repeat that. $9.96 for 1.75 liter. I've never seen a deal as good as that, except was it late last month or early this month? I don't know. It was this year when I went to Savannah Discount, which I would recommend any visitor to New Orleans to go. I mean, if you have a car, if you're flying into New Orleans, I don't know how you're going to get there. There might be a bus line, Jefferson Transit, or you could take a taxi. You go pay more for the taxi than the product. But it's a wonderland. Savannah Discount is a literal wonderland. It's such a clean store, so well organized. They have one little problem. They don't have price tags on everything. So you have to ask them. And they're not trying to hustle people, though. I don't know. They're just negligent in that area. They'll ring it up or scan it with the little laser scanner, and it'll say, oh, it's this much. Some of these stores, the real dodgy ones, as they say in England, or we would say questionable ones, they don't put prices because they want to look you over and decide what they think you're willing to pay. Real bad place. I avoid those places. It's like, well, how much is this beer? And they're looking at you. Well, it is $3.99. $3.99 for a quart of this? $3.99. Wait a minute. That is the price. Well, for you, $2.99. $2.99 for you. And I'm thinking, yeah, I know what kind of place this is. James P. Madonna argues or fusses about places like that. Scam artist place. But Savannah Discount is real legit. It's a straight up place. But I bought the Gibson's Finest Rare, so-called rare, 12-year aged. I got to be careful not to look at these glasses because the shade is too different. It's gold versus amber, so even copper almost. It would be a dead giveaway. Are you going to write a letter to them? No, I'm not. See what I mean? Like, I'm not taking my time to write a letter about flavorings. because it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't taste very flavored. So, and it's allowed by the law of Canada. So, I mean, there's no use even worrying about it. But for some particular reason, a person might want to do that. Okay, so the Gibson's Finest was $9.99 for that huge bottle. I'm not joking. They had like 4 bottles left when I went over there. I was shocked because I thought they'd be gone quick, but they weren't. I got the Virginia Black $3.75 for $5. Which, when you notice that Virginia Black 750s are $38 at all the stores, that's a good deal. Now, my friend David was ranting on that thing. He was chiding me. He was like, how could you rate that an A? He was kind of like aggravated about it. I said, well, it tasted most excellent to me. What are you talking about? I'll rate things as I see them. Well, it's not an A. It's at best a C-. It's flavored whiskey. You know, he was saying, you don't have enough experience drinking whiskey. You don't. I said, well, I admit that. I don't have as much as you, because he started drinking whiskey like in the mid 80s. And I started drinking whiskey like 3 years ago on a regular basis. Like I was testing it out off and on for the last 15 years. But he was saying, we got to revisit that. We have to look that again, because that's not. And I said, well, I'll do that. Wait, you know me, I'm not going to turn down an offer to revisit something. I was thinking about revisiting the Andy Gator and the Abita Strawberry Lager, thinking about it. I said, I'm thinking about it. Did I say I was going to do anything? I'm thinking about it. In other words, because they have the new can version, the 19.2 ounce cans of Andy Gator and the Strawberry Lager from Abita. I said, boy, that's the rage today. Everybody wants those stovepipe cans. That's too much. That's 2 servings, but it's a cheat in a way, because 2 servings is 24 ounces, right? So here you get 19.2. You say, that's 1 serving. I'm a big man. I drink that much. Well, that's what you can drink, whatever you want to do. But I try to control this. Don't just try. I do. Parcel it out according to a certain number a week. And 19.2, that throws off all the math, you see. That screws everything up. All right, I'm going to start to. Everyone has different tastes. Dave has to understand. He's not going to understand because he was saying they've ruined whiskey. I said, what do you mean? It's all cut. It's all, he was saying that to me the other day. It's all cut. In other words, watered down. It's all cut. Well, he's right about that. It's not like the Budweiser people that tell me, it's a different recipe. They changed it. And I ask them, what's the proof? Well, I just know it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it has been watered down. I'm not saying I haven't noticed any difference in the Budweiser taste since I started trying it out in February '96. That's just, I'm telling you right now. But you can actually document that the liquor has been cut, because you can look at old magazine advertisements that'll say 90 proof, 90 proof. Then later it says 86 proof. And then now it says 80. I mean, that's what we call citing a source, which is something I've not been able to communicate with some people. They say, well, I did cite a source. My source is, well, that's what I think. Yeah, well, a contention is not a source. I'm sorry. It's a contention. And it may be true, and it may not be true. All right, so enough rant and rave. And I'm thinking back to '96. I'm thinking for a minute. It's making me think back 23 years, 23rd anniversary, right? February of when I started drinking beer. And I can remember how exciting it was. It really was. Like I said, I would go to Winn-Dixie, because that's what store we had here. And they really didn't have anything else worth going to. And so I would say, let's see what they've got. Now, of course, I go into New Orleans and Metairie, and Kenner and I would get stuff there. But and it was an adventure, because I say, ooh, look, Miller High Life. And I would try it. That was the first one I tried. Ooh, Schlitz. And that's when I started saving the bottles and cans. Oh, Bush. That's back when it was 4.8% or 4.9. Oh, whatever, whatever, whatever. And it was so exciting and everything was an adventure. And people said, when did you get into craft beer? Like, how long did it take you to get into craft beer from macro beer? Like 1 minute, since I never had to get into it. I immediately started drinking craft beer in February 96. They did have specialty stores at the time. Most of them are out of business now. And you could buy singles for a good price. And so I started doing that right there off the bat. I've tried Budweiser. Oh, yes, this has a particular blah, blah, blah flavor. Bud Light. Yes, this has a particular blah, 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 blah flavor. Pearl beer from, I remember I bought a 6-pack of bottles in 97. This has a particular blah, 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 blah flavor. But then at the same time, I was buying Rick and Jack's Scotch Ale, Rick and Jack's Blonde Ale, Pelican Amber Brown Ale, Pete's Wicked Ale, and so on. So I wasn't saying, oh, what camp am I going to join? You know what I'm saying? Am I going to be in the craft beer camp? Am I going to be part of the malt liquor faction? Am I going to be part of the regular beer crowd? I just was in every camp. You know, I'm just drinking them and trying them and thinking on them. They didn't have video, social media like we were on right now. I didn't have a computer. So you basically just drank it in isolation and entertain yourself. And you met a few people here and there that were sort of interested. Like my uncle was interested in it early on also. And so when we would get together a few times a year, we would talk about Acadian Brewing in New Orleans. Sadly, went out of business, and different beer styles and whatnot. But there was never this camp idea at the time of, I mean, you would meet people like that. I was at a Thanksgiving, a New Year's party one time, and this guy was kind of like letting everybody know, I don't drink regular beer. You know, I'm got to drink good stuff like, I don't know what, in 1995, what? I wasn't even drinking beer at the time. Stella Artois and Newcastle Brown Ale, or whatever he was trying to promote for self-aggrandizement, which we all do that. You know, we all want attention, right? How many drinks do you drink a week or a day? Ronnie says, it's 22 to 24 beers per week. We're talking about 12-ounce servings. I don't drink a 40-ounce and say that's one beer. Sorry, don't do that. 22 to 24. I allow myself up to 24, but really it's usually almost invariably 22. Does it go to 24 sometimes? Yes, but it's rare. A little bit of wine every day, talking about 4 ounces, and yeah, some liquor like this, like what we're doing here. So you say, yeah, but you're doubling up today. You're doubling up. I know, but I'm not doing any Saturday. Nothing. See, get it? All right. The Whiskey Scout says, good morning, Ron. Oh, I like Newcastle Brown Ale, he says. Yes, and Lagunitas is going to start doing it. And I think they're supposed to make a 7.5% super duty version. I heard in the rumor mill. Well, I would like to try Newcastle Brown Ale Super Duty. Okay, time to start. I have to close my eyes because if I glance at it, I'll know. I'm going to know anyway. All right, here we go. All right, enough discourse. It is fun to talk about the beers, though, because that was always my adventure, the beer brands. Try this brand, talk about it. Try that brand, talk about it. How does it relate to other brands? And that is the root of the problems I had with other beer reviewers, because they were on a great quest and I was not. Am not. This smells like a Canadian whiskey, and it's sweet and it's grain alcohol, and I think it's Caliber. I'm really glad I let them breathe. Sometimes you got to blab just to kill time to let them set up. Now, it does matter. It does matter. It does matter. It does matter. If you just pour and smell, it's going to be different from a later sampling. Okay, this is Canadian Club because it's a deep wood relative to that. That one has some, like very little. This one has a fairly significant amount. Oh yeah. Charred wood. It smells almost like a cologne in some way. Like I wouldn't recommend using Canadian Club 12 year as a cologne and then go into work. That might not necessarily help you in your career. Yeah, it's deep, rich wood. It has an aroma throughout the smell. It's like it starts like full and characterful. You know what I'm saying? And sort of quasi gourmet, and then it stays there throughout the aroma. Okay. So I'm going to call it that this is Canadian Club and this is Caliber because it's a much more muted aroma. Now look, the aroma over here is just like flat. In isolation, you don't pick that up. And if you're going up against Canadian Limited or Rich and Rare or Albert or those other Sazerac items, then it's like, oh yeah, it has a lot of this and that going for it because you're comparing dull to dull, but you don't realize it. Your senses don't. But here, it's like, hey, where's the aroma? Because over here, your nose is like, wow, there's so much depth. It's so dense. And over here, it's like, whoa, what happened? It's not offensive. It just isn't present. It's dulled out. It's vacant. So here's Canadian Club 12 year, of course, and Caliber. So I was able to tell them apart on aroma only, which I knew I was going to be able to. Now we'll go into the taste test. It's not a blind taste test anymore, but the blind is gone anyway. Once you determine which is which, then the blind is over. You know. You know. You think you know, but you don't know, and you'll never know. Yes, I will know because I'm doing it right now. All right. Caliber's fine. It's fine. It's serviceable. It is okay. It's not bad. It's like a lot of things you can buy at Walmart. They're all right. They'll do the job. You're not going to go when people come to visit you, you're not going to say, oh, y'all, let me show you a Caliber Canadian. Can you believe I bought it? You know, they'll be like, what are you showing me this for? I mean, you might show them as a curiosity piece. It won't be like, oh, look at this old 1981 beer sign. Can you believe I found this Magnum malt liquor beer sign? It lights up and look the bubbles. I mean, that would be something like, look at this. It's really something. But you're not going to show this off. It's like this computer. I'm not going to show it off. Say, look, y'all, it's a Dell. I got it at Office Depot. People would say, well, so? You know, it's just a neutral object, basically. It doesn't attract or detract. It's just it's not even that great of a computer. It's okay. You couldn't play video games on it. Not really, but I don't play those. So, all right. This, you actually would tell your guest, man, you want to try something really good? I mean, this stuff is really good. It's so woody. It's rich oak and charcoal and vanilla. And the, stereotypical, the flavor as the Canadian, look it up. Canadian website, you just type it in, Canadian whiskey regulation. The first thing that comes up is going to be canada.gov/ I don't know what it is, Department of Nutrition or Ministry of Nutrition and Food Regulation, something like. All right. It's going to say it must have a flavor generally associated with Canadian whiskey. So you can put any kind of flavor you want in it and make it all crazy. Any kind of flavoring they allow, but it still has to taste like Canadian whiskey. So if you make it and it tastes like tomato juice, then it ain't gonna be allowed. It's like American, same thing. You can do anything here, there, everywhere, up, down, sideways, fat, skinny, tall, short, but it has to have the flavor generally associated with American whiskey. Now you say, well, how do they determine that? Well, I don't know. That's what the regulation says. You mean there's a guy in an office that'll taste it and say it doesn't? I guess you could say that. Have I ever tried anything that did not have the flavor generally associated with American whiskey? No, I have not. All those blended American whiskeys, you said that rot gut stuff, right? Some of it was not good. It was bland. It was like junk, but it still tastes like whiskey. Just tastes like kind of like bad whiskey. All right. So, but they don't, the U.S. government doesn't evaluate things like that, good or bad. It's more like, is it safe to drink? Is it safe to eat? Like they don't use the term junk food. I mean, yeah, I understand the United States government is very nanny state. They try to control your life and all that, but they're not as bad as they could be. Like they have recommended dieting. If you look at the Department of Agriculture, here's what you should eat every day. I don't know, you'd probably be anorexic if you follow their diet plan, but and I don't think anybody working for that department, from the photos I've seen and from the visits I made a visit to the Department of Agriculture. Doesn't look like they follow on the plan, but and the people getting those what they used to call food stamps, now it's like a charge card, or what do you call it? A delete card. What is it? Like it's a certain amount and you use it and then the money goes away until it gets down to zero. They don't look like they're following the diet plan, but like a bag of potato chips, they're not going to call it junk food. They just say it's a bag of potato chips. So they're more focused on, is it going to make you sick or something like that? All right. And anyway, whiskey's not on the Food and Drug Administration, but it's the same concept they're using. They're not saying it's good or bad. They're saying it's safe or not safe. Whether it's cheap or expensive is what I mean. I've done solo reviews of these, so you can watch the solo reviews, and I give all the intricate tasting notes, like the dried flowers, the candy fruitcake fruit, and blah, 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 nut oil and all that. The real question, so was it a challenge? No, it was not. Can you easily tell them apart in flavor? Yes. Is a Canadian Club better? Obviously. But is it 4 times as good? Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Or as they say, it's nut crushing time. Go pick the pecans, get the nut crushers, time to start cracking nuts so we can have the pecan pie. Talk about a bunch of trouble to sit there and crack pecans. Or some people up north, what do they say? Pecans. And people around here say pecans. My mama made pecan pie. We had that over there in Chalmette for Thanksgiving. Oh, we ate that in the morning. That's how they'll talk, My mama made that pie. We had that in the morning for breakfast. Yeah, we put whipped cream on it because we wasn't even worried about the calories. All right. You say you're appropriating their cultural language. That's how they speak in St. Bernard Parish. That's a microaggression. It is a very strange way, the way they speak down in St. Bernard Parish. The parish, as they call it, the parish. There's 64 parishes in Louisiana, but they call their parish the parish. And then they use the term as like a designation that you're supposed to know that. You say, you're stereotyping? I know I am stereotyping. I made a video about stereotypes, by the way. You should watch it. But it's like, hey, where are you from? I'm from St. Benoit. But they won't say I'm from St. Benoit. They'll just say, I'm from the parish. We are from the parish. The parish. What do you mean the parish? You know what I'm talking about, St. Benoit. Bernard, you know, as we say in English. They say St. Benoit. All right. You say, oh, that's in Chalmette. That ain't in Chalmette. That street's in Araby, man. That's in Araby. That's by the barracks. That's right by the barracks. You should know that. My mama used to go. They always were patrolling by the barracks. Okay. Of course, in the Ninth Ward, which is bordering on St. Benoit, they speak like that too. We used to go by their house on Delary. They was always boiling too. Oh, I'm sorry, not boiling, burling. It was burling swimps. They was damn good too, them swimps, because they used special spices. What they did. All right, enough of that. I have relatives that are from there. Why am I? All right. It's flavoring, it's mild wood, it's nut oil, or as like I said in St. Benoit, in the parish, nut or Earl. Not oil. Who ever heard of oil? Why would you burl something in oil? You burl in Earl. Cooking Earl. They'll fry oysters. Don't dump that Earl in the zinc. The zinc. All right, this one is richer, it's woodier, it's got more cachet, it's got more character, it's got more depth of flavor, it's got more density, it's got more refinement, it's got more age on it. However, I don't know if it is 4 times as good. Now, it is better. There's no doubt about that. But is it 4 times better? I'm not prepared to say that. On the other hand, I'm not saying that Caliber wins by default because of the price difference. It's just too much of a separate. Making fun of your neighbors, Ron, too funny. Well, I mean, you know, it's 40 miles away to get to St. Benoit. 40 miles. And my relatives, well, my sister is close. She lives close to the lower Ninth Ward. The lower Ninth Ward. She's in the upper Ninth Ward. The upper Ninth Ward is a higher quality level of people. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't like these lower Ninth Ward people by the Steamboat House. But yeah, I'm 40 miles from over there. I'm not making fun of them. I just find it's. They even had they even had a report one time on Channel 4 News at night. Like, what is the allure of St. Bernard Parish? And they were talking to people that live there, and they're all the same. Like, I would never live nowhere else. You know, this is like if you talk to them, it's like paradise, like the greatest place literally in the world to live. It was until Katrina hit and the whole place got flooded by 12 feet of water. But they were asking this guy, like, why do you love Chalmette so much? He was like, well, they got girls. You could ride in your car up and down Judge Perez Boulevard. And that was his explanation for why St. Bernard was a paradise on earth. Because they got girls. And you could ride your car up and down Judge Perez. I was like, well, that's a answer I would expect from that town. All right. Top of the morning to Ron and those in the chat, says Gregory Ronald Sorfleet. Top of the morning to you. Oh, I drank it all. Oh my gosh. Well, so that's the question of the hour, and I cannot answer this question. I can talk about St. Benoit and how they say Earl and Erstes and Boint. And, oh yeah, and it doesn't get ruined, it gets roint. Don't fry them too long, they're gonna get roint. And they don't eat mayonnaise on bread. Are you stupid? They eat mayonnaise. Don't forget to put the mayonnaise on the ham sandwich. Not sandwich, sandwich, right. Don't forget to put the mayonnaise on my ham sandwich. Don't eat too much because we're going to eat at Jack Dempsey's tonight on Poland Avenue. I got a coupon. All right. Anyway. Oh, man. The Whiskey Scout says, you have me laughing so hard right now. Now, you say, oh, you're just being so exaggerated. Actually, you need to come visit here and go ride down there and walk around and go in the store and talk to people, and you will be telling me that I was downplaying it. Now, I'm not joking. You might think, oh, I never heard this language. You may not be able to understand it. The accent is so thick. And I'm not joking about that. And then they had these two Cajun people coming in. I was talking to them in a store yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, their language is so heavy, their accent is so heavy. They must have just gotten off the boat from Marseille, France, or Bayonne, you know, one of these French ports. I couldn't believe it. I said, oh, there's still people with this thick French accent. I can't remember, boy. Oh, I had to laugh to myself. All right, anyway. Okay, enough accent aigu. Accent. You're so gauche. All right. Yeah, and then I'll take you on another drive across the river. So I'll take you to Chalmette, and then I'm going to take you across the river to Vacherie. You know, Vacherie, the cow pasture. I know a man who's actually French, en français. He's from France. Well, his family actually came from Afrique Français, French Africa, but he's French. So, and I said, why'd you move to Vacherie? He said, because I want to speak French with the people. I said, what do you mean speak French with the people? Well, when I go home at night, I speak French. We all speak French. All the people, they all could speak French in Vacherie. And then they have farms and they go talk and they cook. They have the boucherie, the pork. I say, well, if that's what you like to do. So he wanted to go move there so he could speak French to the people. All right, anyway, enough of this. There's no determination here. I don't know. There's no winner, there's no losers. It's just a what you say, a situation. Because the Canadian Club, while I don't think it's 4 times as good as the Caliber, you can't really say Caliber wins by default because it's just too much of a distance between the two. And then on the other hand, the Caliber, yeah, it's $5.96 is cheap, you know, cut rate stuff. But then you can't, it overperforms, you see. So that's the problem. It tastes and smells and it plays out a lot better than it should. So it's too high for the price and its quality. And then the Canadian Caliber is right on the money with its price, like it's $24 and it tastes like it should be $24. So there's a little cognitive dissonance with these two. So I would just say it is what it is. Some things are cheap and they taste better than they should. And then some things are mid-range and they taste exactly mid-range. So that's the end of that. I mean, what else can you say? There is nothing to say. No, I don't. Whiskey Scout says, no, I don't. I've been through New Orleans down to Venice when I worked offshore. Oh, down to Venice. But you didn't really stop and go shopping in the stores and talk to the Chalmatians. That's what they call themselves, Chalmatians. And then Venice is so far down at the end of the highway. It's literally at the end of the highway, right? It says next stop, the Gulf of Mexico. There's a big sign, right? This is the end of the world. What do they call it? The end of the world. You get a lot of people from out of state down there. Like you might meet people from Venezuela, Greece, Ireland, New York City. You know what I'm saying? They're all over because they're working in this oil industry offshore. And so then it's not like colloquial local culture there because it's too much. It's like where I live, there's so many out-of-state people because they're all working at Marathon, DuPont, Denka, Shell, you know, these oil refineries and chemical plants. So they'd be from all over the country. A lot of them, remember they all came in from Iowa. So then you don't, the local culture gets pressed down. It's there, but it's in the underworld, so to speak. We have a local culture here, but it's a very small minority of people. And you can tell they're from here because they speak with that thick River Parish accent, you know. But they might only make up 10% of the population. They're entrenched, you know, they're entrenched. And then you have the 90% that's transient. They come live here, they work for Marathon, then they go on, then they get replaced. So you have that, you could call it an issue. You don't have the housing market is weak here because there's always people moving in and out. So you could get a cheap house. You just would live you might live in the same house for 30 years, but you have different neighbors all the time. You know what I'm saying? So you might not feel too connected or something. That's just the nature of the business when you're in a highly industrialized corridor, which is what this is. It is what it is. It is what it is. But the good thing about being in a port area, a highly industrialized port location, is you get a incredible turnover and selection of beer, wine, and liquor. You see, you get that beer, wine, liquor, because got shipping, trains, trucks. It's a focal point for parts north, Chicago, northeast, you know, Nashville, Chattanooga, west, Houston, Dallas. So it's like a fan. You look at the distribution, it's a fan. So we have that luxury where we get a lot of items and we get them cheap relative to the rest of the country generally. And there's a lot of turnover. So I guess that's a benefit. Canadian Club Classic, good for what ails you, says Greg. Yes. I like regular old Canadian Club. I understand what I'm dealing with. It's $12 a bottle. It tastes like it should be $12 a bottle. I don't make a big deal out of it. I don't know why people feel compelled to get on the internet, write a review talking about tastes like airplane glue and, you know, gum and wax. I mean, I read these reviews and I'm like, are you kidding me? It tastes nothing like any of those things. It tastes like a relatively inexpensive, slightly or moderately flavored Canadian whiskey. I mean, come on now. But you can lose a lot of perspective on the internet by just getting on the internet and reading what people write. And then you say, oh, okay. All right. I'll be back on here later on, maybe sooner than later, with bourbon. And we're going to do a lot of bourbon coming up. Then we're going to do a lot of Scotch. And then we're going to do a lot of blended whiskey, American. Then we're going to do a lot of Canadian, and then more bourbon, then more Scotch, then more Canadian whiskey, then more bourbon, then more Scotch, then rum, then more rum, then more of that, and more of that, and a lot more of that, and more of that, and more of that.